All right, on this episode of the LPDS, we provide some LPDS updates in life. We talk sort of Yankees updates, sort of. And then we have a pretty decent Cage fact. They're all decent. I'm biased. I think they're all at least decent. You guys be the judge. All that's coming up right now. All right, Jabronis, we're back. Welcome back to the Libretti Podcast Diary Show. I'm your host, Libretti, the show that talks about nothing but finds the lessons and everything, and we try to have a good time doing it. And I have a good time doing it. Hopefully, you guys have a good time listening to it or watching it if you're watching in YouTube land. If you don't like it or you have any comments, please refer them to the hotline at 202-670-1114. And we will take your call promptly. Hope everybody had a good week. My week was cut short. My business work week was cut short. Not mad about it because I traveled to Hotlanta for my brother's wedding. Figure that one out. So by the time this posts, I'll be back from Atlanta. This had to be recorded early, as I mentioned previously in a last episode. And I'm sure we had a good time. I'll recap it. I'll recap all the good stuff about seeing the family and friends again and having a good time at wedding festivities. It seems like it's going to be a good weekend. So I'll keep you all posted on that. Anyway, earlier this week I had the nastiest allergies episode in a long time. I don't know what it was. Maybe because it was a little windier out during the day, so maybe that blew some of the pollens and extra stuff up into the schnoz. I'm not entirely sure. That's the only thing I can think of because I've been taking my pills regularly, and apparently I just need to up the dosage or figure out some other holistic healing way to figure this stupid crap out. But I went to my new gym. Long story short, crappy old gym closed. We talked about that. Found a new gym. Joined it up. So while I was sitting there, all day, by the way, I had the allergy situation was bad. I had to basically have a towel or a rag next to me. And it wasn't one of those situations where like I was stuffed up and couldn't breathe. I had I don't even know what to call it. I don't know. I don't think it's called cocaine nose, but I just had basically water just flowing out of my schnoz. Every time I wasn't facing directly up like this, if you're looking in YouTube land, if I was facing down, it was just waterworks, Niagara Falls. Not real snot or anything. It was just basically fluid. It was nasty. So I basically had to have a towel. I don't know how many more times I have to say the word basically, but I had to have a rag or a towel or paper towel or tissues up at the schnoz almost the entire day. And if I went to sniff it in, I got the tinglies in the schnoz, and that would unleash a flurry of sneezes. And that's not, I didn't want that either. So I was in a bad way. I was in bad shape altogether. And when I get the tinglies in the nose, I start to get the eyes watering, and it's just a bad situation. Washing my hands a ton, trying not to do anything. I thought maybe by going to work out, it would, usually when I do a good workout, go for a run or lift some weights, either I forget about it to the point where the placebo effect takes over and I don't notice it or it doesn't happen as much, or it actually does something where it slows down the attack, the allergies, the sickness, whatever. Well, I go in and I have to sign up for the membership officially at the gym that day. during snot day. And I'm sitting there. The guy was a real nice dude. Unfortunately, and he admitted this, unfortunately, he had to run me through the entire spiel that they have to run all new members through. And even though I was a previous member at this gym, it's an LA Fitness, I was a member before. I even had my same login info. I just needed to update my membership to active again. That's all I had to do. So I've gotten the spiel from LA Fitness previously, many times. He still had to do it because his manager was there, and that's a leadership discussion for another day. But it doesn't make any sense. If you're not given the spiel and your manager has a problem, you should be able to simply communicate, oh, this was an old member, he's just reactivating. He already went through the spiel, his stuff is in the system. And then the manager should just respond with, that makes sense. Thank you for good on you for choosing not to waste his time so he can get to the gym. Good. That's a good customer support right there. Focus on the customer. Customer experience. That's what it's all about. But instead, this poor bastard was going to get a talking to if he didn't run through the spiel with me, even though I basically know the spiel already. What's your height and weight? Why did you want to start coming to the gym? What are your fitness goals? Do you have diet goals? How much weight are you trying to lose? Have you worked with a trainer before? Do you understand how weightlifting works? Got it. I know it. So he had to run through the spiel. And because of that, I'm sitting there in Snotville. Now, I did preface to him ahead of time. I said, hey, listen, I'm not going to give out his name just in case he listens to this. Listen, just to let you know, my allergies are in bad shape this week. So I'm not crying. I'm not sick. I'm just an embarrassing mess. So I'm glad. I appreciate you understanding that. And he's like, okay, no problem. I got it. No big deal. So me, toweling my schnoz down and sniffling and sneezing, it wasn't too much of a problem. The problem didn't happen until we're finally done with this spiel. Now, mind you, we're 30 minutes into this thing. And I figured, I thought I was going to be working out by now and the allergy stuff would kind of go away. But it didn't. In public, I'm dealing with it. Everyone else has to deal with it too, unfortunately. Maybe I should have stayed home. I don't know. I feel like I'm not sick, so I'm not spreading anything to anybody. I'm just a visual, what's the word I'm thinking of? Not troll. I'm just visually unpleasant, which would not be the first time somebody has said that about me. This time around, it makes sense because I was not visually at my best. And what I mean by that is just like if you looked at me, I have red, tearful eyes, red schnoz, like alcoholic schnoz. I'm sniffling, I'm sneezing, I'm coughing. Not actually, I wasn't coughing. Thankfully, because then they would have really thought I was sick. And I'm patting the schnoz down with towels and what have you. So I'm not a good looking individual in that regard. So everyone's seeing that. I thought about staying home, but I was like, I'm not really sick. It's not, and I'll get over this once I get to working out. But I'm sitting there, 30 minutes go by. Everybody's looking at this cartoon character, if you will. And finally it gets time to put my updated payment information into the system. And I look down at my tactical fanny pack to grab my wallet to give my information. And I made a fatal mistake. What I've been doing, I was pretty good about it throughout the day, was if I had to look down, I go towel up. Head down, towel up at the schnoz to block anything that was trying to escape, to keep Niagara Falls at bay a little bit. Fatal rookie mistake on my part because I was thinking, I'll two-hand open my pack, even though I can one-hand it. Obviously, I've been fanny packing for over a decade. I know how to one-hand open a fanny pack. Didn't think about it. I think I was just fog of war, of schnoz. And I looked down, did not go towel up, and Niagara right down the chute. Like a stream of water, nonstop. I say it's water because it was that thin and liquidy. It was not standard snot. It was just water. Right down. Luckily, I had my towel right there to catch the frag. But it was unavoidable visual experience for people. The guy in front of me couldn't have missed it. It's not like I have, and I'm not trying to be self-deprecating here. It's not like I have a tiny, pointy, like snub nose. I have a schnoz. Everybody knows it. Everyone can see it. If I turn to the side, it looks like a sail. If I swim upside down or on my back, it looks like a shark fin. Got it. I'm cool with it. I don't think it's that big. I think it's great for me. But it's not a tiny little nose. So when stuff like this happens, it's waterworks. It's impossible not to notice it. So this poor bastard sees it. Thankfully, I already prefaced with him, sorry about this, and he was okay. He's like, listen, don't worry about it. What I was worried about, though, was the absolute bombshell of a lady working out right behind where we were doing our business of signing up this membership. And the way the machine was set up, she was facing directly at our desk that we were sitting at. Direct line of sight to the waterworks, to the snottery. And all my chances of ever approaching that woman or even looking in her direction or striking a conversation or even thinking about striking up a conversation with her went right out the window. Because once again, like I said, it was visually unavoidable. She could not have not seen it unless she was blind and I didn't see one of those sticks around or dogs or escorts with her. And I almost just left the gym right there. I almost told the guy, listen, I don't want to work out ever again. Like I think I'm good with just dying. I think I'll just go home and die and be unhealthy if it's all the same to you. I can't come back from that. This was one look at this lady and love of your life. She was striking. And now she is dead to me because I'm sure I'm dead to her. So, not a great start to the new gym experience. I will say, though, snottery aside, allergies aside, it's a much better gym facility already. It's not as big. It doesn't have as many squat racks or benches or things like that. So, depending on when you go, you might have to wait a little bit. But it does have more options in other ways. It has a basketball court. It has a yoga area that they do classes. They have racquetball courts. They have a swimming pool. All that's great stuff. And people re-rack their weights and they put their plates back and they clean up after themselves. And the employees are going around to make sure of it. The first day I was there, there was an announcement on the loudspeaker. Attention, somebody whoever brought a motorized scooter into the male locker room, you have to move it. It's literally in the middle of the walkway where people are trying to get in and out of the locker room. You have to move it. And they were holding people accountable. Now, is it a couple bucks more a month for this membership than my last gym? Yeah. Do I have the money for that right now, the cash on hand? Debatable. But I'm investing now in a better experience. Not only will I be able to work out knowing where the weights are going to be all the time, so that'll save me time. I'll be more efficient. The clientele is better, so I'll have more visual motivation to work out better. And I have more options. I could play racquetball. I could do yoga now without having to pay out the ass at a yoga studio. So it's an investment. It's a lot. It's a little bit more money, a couple bucks extra a month, but I'm not really losing anything. I'm actually going to be gaining something out of it. So I'm very excited for that. I had to do some sort of perception rehab. I forgot what the PR people call it, where you have to fix your persona, where you leave a bad impression. You have to, damn it, I forgot what they call it. There's like a term they use, not rehab, but they have to go and clean the mess up. And my perception for some of these people, some of the better looking folks, was not great in the first couple minutes of my gym session because of the snottery. So I'll get that figured out. All in all, though, much happier. I have to drive there? It's a 3 mile distance, so it's like an hour and a half, 20-minute walk. I could do it on like a weekend, but we're talking now 3 hours of just traveling, plus an hour to an hour and a half of working out. 4.5 hours just to do. The math doesn't add up to make that a regular thing. So I really realistically am no longer going to be walking to the gym because I just don't have 4.5 hours of free time like that. I can make the free time, but then I'd be taking away from Spearhead and other things that are higher priority. Walking is not a priority right now. I get my steps in anyway. Walking otherwise is not a priority. I get my working out done at the gym. So anyway, good experience overall. I'll repair my reputation. So stand by on updates on that. Speaking of updates, let's talk very quickly about the torpedo bats. Now, the LPDS was technically not the first to be on the public record, the published content record, talking about these bats that the Yankees have been using, and now revealing that, finding out other teams have been using them as well. But at the time that the LPDS recorded last episode, we were the first to bring it up. And I even said torpedo bat. Now, obviously, that was an easy kill when it comes to naming what kind of bat, what these look like, because everybody picked up on it. Like the name torpedo bat is now the moniker for this new bat. But we were the first to bring it up because of the schedule of posting and all that. We weren't the first to actually get it out there on the internets. Credit to those who did. Maybe I should have done that. Maybe I should have done a quick emergency press conference on my phone and said, hey, these torpedo bats, let's talk about them. Stay tuned in the episode. I don't know. But we were here. We reported it first. Now, if you haven't been paying attention, you're not a baseball fan, the Yankees announcers during a game a couple weeks ago were talking. This is like the second game of the season. They were using them the first game and in spring training, and you come to find out now that other teams have been using them already, and some teams were even using them last season too. But because the Yankees announcers brought it up on the broadcast during Game 2 of the season for the Yankees, and the Yankees also happened to hit 9 home runs and scored 20 runs that game, it became the talk of the town that the only reason why the Yankees have any offense now is because of these torpedo bats, which is crazy. Because what we've been saying for this whole time, even the last episode, was that this is not the norm for the Yankees, and it won't be the norm for their team. They're just not that good. They're not the Monstars, and it had nothing to do with the torpedo bats whatsoever. In fact, if you go look at by the time this episode posts, who knows what his batting average and his numbies will be. But go look at Anthony Volpe's numbies as of what, the 3rd of April at the time of this recording. The poor bastard still stinks. And he's the reason why the Yankees decided to make these bats for some of these players. He was the guy that they studied. He was the lab rat. And I have nothing against Volpe. But, as previously mentioned, they decided to go with this bat style for him, and other players decided, let's try it too, because they found out that this guy just can't hit. He can't get the bat around quick enough, and he gets jammed all the time. And instead of working to improve that, which is difficult to do, hitting a baseball at the pro level is probably the hardest thing you can do in sports, and anybody will say that. Any actual athlete will agree with that. And B, he's just not that good. His athletic ceiling is peaked at the major league level. He will be an average ball player at best. That's his ceiling. So those factors in mind, they decided, forget about it. We're just going to change the bat shape and put the barrel down lower so when he does inevitably get jammed, he'll get a little bit more sweet spot. And that's fine. I don't have a problem with the bats. I don't think it's cheating. I don't think it's bad sportsmanship. I don't think it's Bush League at all. I just think it's funny that they're the experts of the game these days really don't care about a player's ability to learn, grow, and improve. You have to you have to meet this certain threshold, which is getting lower and lower each year in the MLB. You have to meet this certain threshold, and really all it is do you have the potential to get high exit velocity on balls that you hit, and can you hit home runs? Everything else we don't give a shit about, clearly, especially on the Yankees, it seems. And I'm just speculating, but this is what it seems like. Because they don't seem to care if their batters have a high batting average, high on-base percentage, a lot of RBIs, a lot of clutch play, a lot of clutch walks, smart base running. They don't care about any of that. Fielding, they couldn't care less. Hit home runs and hit the ball hard when you do hit it. That's all they seem to care about. And correct me if I'm wrong for the baseball experts out there, like the creature knows more about it than I do. Just on the surface level, from a casual fan's perspective, that's what it seems like the Yankees care about only. And they don't care about a player being smart. Like, they're just taking the baseball aspect out of it. They just want these home run hitting robots. We'll take care of the rest, guys. Don't worry. You don't have to think intelligently about baseball. You don't have to have a baseball intelligence whatsoever. You don't have to know how to do the fundamentals. Those aren't. You'll need the fundamentals for like 8 games in the postseason if you make it to the postseason, but you probably won't, so whatever. Just hit the ball hard and high so it goes out of the park. That's it. That's why I think it's funny. I also do think it's funny that all the Yankee haters are finding a way to call them cheaters. Oh, the Yankees have a history of cheating. I heard one guy talk about who was the kid during the playoffs against the Orioles where he caught it out in right field and Jeter got the home run. Very controversial play where the fan caught the ball. He reached over into the field and caught the ball, and they called it a home run. I can't remember his name. Andrew something? I don't remember his name for the life of me. I don't know how I forgot it. But somebody was saying, the Yankees have a history of cheating. They have this kid doing that, and then the Mitchell report screwed over the Mets because this was a Mets fan, and this and that, and then the steroids, and everything the guy was saying didn't make any sense. First of all, the Yankees didn't didn't plant this kid in the stadium to cheat and be like, hey, don't forget to reach over and steal this. Jeter's going to hit a fly ball to you. You're going to steal it, and they're going to call it a home run. It's all planned out. Don't worry about it. That's not cheating. That is not cheating. Fan interference, sure. It was a bad umpire call, sure. But that's not that's not what the word cheating means. The Yankees didn't plan for that to happen. Okay? Steroids, on the technicality, it is considered cheating because it's a banned substance. But it doesn't make, we've argued this in the past, it doesn't make you a better player. It just allows your muscles to recover faster so you can train more. And indirectly, then by training more, you have the ability to get better faster because of that and be stronger. But if you're training poorly, if you're training a lot, but you're not training efficiently and intelligently, you're not going to get better. You might get stronger, but you're not going to get better at the game of baseball. And B, everybody is doing steroids when performance-enhancing drugs and taking a banned substance of some sort. You could just assume that. They're not going to test everybody, obviously, because they don't want guys like Shohei Ohtani or Trout to have to succumb to suspensions and have their reputation sullied and the MLB reputation go down the tubes further than it already is going. But everybody's doing something. You can't play 162 games for 10, 15, sometimes even 20 seasons and not need something to get through it. It's just... So the steroids thing is moot for any team complaining about the steroids and Yankees and steroids use. Not to mention that only A-Rod got busted for steroids use while wearing pinstripes. So that's another moot point. The Mitchell report, I don't even remember. That has, again, nothing to do with it. I don't even remember what exactly happened with that, but whatever. I heard another guy complaining that more steroid stuff, that the Yankees were all cheaters in there, and he started naming names of cheaters. And he's like, you guys got like A-Rod, guys like A-Rod and Melky Cabrera and Robinson Cano and this guy and that guy all are cheating steroids users, and the Yankees always cheat. Well, I got news for you, pal. Again, only A-Rod got popped for performance-enhancing drugs while in pinstripes. Roger Clemens and Andy Pettitte got chastised for it, but they never failed any tests. And there's no actual proof from any report or test that says that they did take it. And I don't think they ever admitted to anything either. Also, this is the Mets fan, to the Mets fan, Robinson Cano got his suspension while he was a Met. And then on the Mariners too. So what are we talking about here, cheaters? You're saying that that doesn't count because he was hanging out with A-Rod before and A-Rod got him into it? Probably. There's no proof of that either. He got in trouble when he was wearing the uniform of the team that you're rooting for. So your whole argument and bitching and moaning session right out the window there. I heard some Boston fans crying cheating. Meanwhile, Boston players, Red Sox players, are using the torpedo bat. They just stink with it. Rafael Devers stinks right now. He's in the slump of a lifetime. He's like 1 for 50 right now, and he's torpedoing. So any of the Red Sox fans out there can shut up. Not to mention the other, the cheating that actually they got caught for. Their manager got suspended because he helped orchestrate the Houston Astros cheating. And the Red Sox were like, yeah, we'll just keep him on when he gets done with his suspension. They didn't care. They got Alex Bregman. Now, they just signed him, who got caught busted cheating with the Astros. Now, this is not saying that the Red Sox are also cheaters, but they clearly don't give a shit about it. So you can't pick and choose which cheating you give a shit about, because you didn't care when Big Papi got busted for steroids. He's a hero up in Boston. You didn't care that your manager was orchestrating one of the bigger cheating scandals in the MLB before he got there, and you brought him back, and you just signed another player who was part of that same cheating scandal, so you don't seem to care about that there either. Also, you don't care that your own players are using the torpedo bat, but when the Yankees do it, then they're cheaters, all-time cheaters and frauds. Got it. That makes sense. The Yankees don't cheat. They stink, okay? If they cheated, they'd be the worst cheaters in the league because they haven't won anything in over a decade. The Astros won a World Series when they cheated. The Red Sox won a World Series with steroids Papi. The Yankees must be the worst cheaters then, because they stink. Maybe the Mets, because the Mets haven't come close to winning anything in a long time. So maybe the Mets are the worst cheaters. I don't know. But long story longer, the torpedo bat's not cheating. It's stupid. I wouldn't do it. It's just, like I said, it's funny to me. It's a joke to me that they have to resort to that because their hitters are so bad and so unsavable that they have to resort to that. Fine, whatever. But bats have been adjusted in the past. Nobody gave a shit when they were changing the handle to the axe handle that we talked about previously. So let it go. Stop crying. Don't worry, the Yankees are still going to stink. Okay? Anthony Volpe, they created the bat for Volpe, and he stinks with it. So there you go. Shut up about the torpedo bats. We're not talking about it anymore. Unless they find out that the torpedo bats have secret, explosive pockets in there, or they're corked as well, or some sort of actual cheating mechanism going on in there, then you could come crying. Until then, shut up. Okay? Don't worry, the Yankees are not going to win the World Series this year. Certainly not because of the torpedo bats either. So, shut up. Sorry, your teams also stink. Sorry, the Mets, who are supposed to be undefeated in the National League because they got Juan Soto and Clay Holmes, stink so far this year. Sorry, the Red Sox are in last place so far this year. Shut up. Okay? Yankees stink. Torpedo bats, Nerf bats, tree trunk bats, steroids, it doesn't matter. They're going to stink. Don't worry about the Yankees. They stink. Okay? Worry about yourselves, because you guys also stink. And the Mets are paying a lot more money than the Yankees are this year for players, so shut up. That's all I have to say about that. Let's get into the good stuff. Finally, let's step into the cage.
Okay, let's run.
All right. Today's Into the Cage segment is proudly sponsored by the Banter Bible. Fellas, are you having a hard time flirting with women on first dates and can never seem to get the conversation flowing and therefore never get a second date? Well, the solution to your problems is here with the all-new Banter Bible by Tony Rigatoni. The Banter Bible is a field manual created by Tony himself that includes every single flirtatious line he's ever used on a girl when bantering, and he has a whopping 29% success rate with getting those women on second dates. From conversation starters like, "Are you the capital of Ireland? Because when I look at you, my wiener doubles in size," to flirty quips to ignite a stale convo like, "Hey, pull my finger." Reading the Banter Bible will turn you into a master banterer in a matter of days, and you'll have to run away from all the women chasing after you. So to master banting today, visit the third floor bathroom of your local Barnes & Noble where a master banter rep will be waiting for you in the stall. And if you use the toe tap, you'll get 29% off your banter Bible. I got a banter story I'm not going to say here. Maybe if I have the creature on as a guest. It's almost like you have to banter the story. You have to have someone to talk about it with. So maybe one day I'll share some banter, some funny banter stories with the creature. We could share our experiences in the outdoor cat world before he became an indoor cat. Anyway, the Cage fact. This is a visual. Okay, this is more of like a TMZ style update visual for you. So if you're listening in, it's not gonna do anything for you. But if you're watching in YouTube land, and I will remember to post this picture, Nic Cage showed up to, I believe it was South by Southwest, that thing they do in Austin, which I thought was every year, but sometimes I think they do it like 6 times a year because I hear about it so often. It's one of those weird festivals that all the super artsy, highbrow, think they're better than everybody else people go and watch film screenings and music screenings and stuff like that. Cool, whatever, got it. They were premiering his movie The Surfer there. Now, this is coming off the heels of the lawsuit against him being dismissed with prejudice. Now, I just found this out through my lawyer connections, which is basically JPL3. But with prejudice, they didn't say the reason why it was with prejudice, but with prejudice in this case means they can never add him back onto the lawsuit. They're done. In this case, in this matter, it's over. So Cage's lawyers did a great job defending and pushing back, probably threatened to countersue because of how bogus the claim was, to the point where they blocked it entirely. Like, not only are you dismissing this and removing him, you're not even going to think about adding him back on at all. Not his problem, your problem. So there you go. But he showed up to the premiere looking like what I would describe as the Nic Cage version of Spy versus Spy. The black spy, the black hat, the black jacket wearing spy versus the white jacket wearing and white hat wearing spy. You know, Spy versus Spy, old school cartoon or whatever. He was dressed up as Black Spy. I'll take that back. He was certainly not purposely dressing up like the guy from Spy versus Spy. He was dressing up however he wanted. He looked in his wardrobe and he's like, this is what I feel like wearing out in public today because I'm Nic Cage and I can wear whatever I want. And he looked like the Nic Cage version of Spy versus Spy. And his suit was not just black, but it was like a black with some sort of, not sequence, but shiny, infused fabric inside, sparkles almost on the jacket. It was almost like you're looking into a night sky in the middle of South Dakota or Canada or Alaska or something like that. And then he had these very uniquely tinted glasses that he was wearing. They were like aviators almost, but they weren't sunglasses. They were just a sort of burgundy red wine tint, like a Cabernet tint on them. And then he had, of course, the top hat, the spy hat, all matching with the suit, the black on black suit. That's a Cage look if I ever saw one. And you can see it in the picture here that I posted. It's a Cage look if I ever saw one. The black on black is tremendous for Cage because it goes with his black hair dye. I'm a big fan of the black on black. He also has done like a black on gold vest situation. Like he'll mix it in, but when he has the black shirt and the black pants, it's tremendous because he can mix and match any other color coordination he wants, and it just looks fantastic. And he did it again here with the sparkle black night sky. So that's the Cage fact. An update on his wardrobe, a TMZ update on his wardrobe. Moving on to the Junction. Spin the logo up. Don't have much. I don't, like I said, we recorded this early, so there wasn't a lot of current events to follow besides the bullcrap politics stuff, which we had a nice in-depth conversation last episode about doing that anymore and try not to do that anymore, really. So if you haven't heard it, go back to the previous episode and listen to that spiel, and then stop bringing up political topics to me in the DMs to talk about on the show. Stop asking why I'm not talking about it. Trumpy Bear. Stop asking why I'm not talking about any of it anymore. Because I don't like it. It doesn't make me feel good. It's stupid. And you should all get out of it too. So we don't have much here. But I do have the Atlanta trip this weekend. There's going to be a kickball event. This wedding, like I said, it's going to be a fun weekend. We have the wedding was on Saturday, and then kickball on Sunday. Now, I don't know how I'm going to be doing. Probably not great. It could, by the time you listen to this, it'll be over. I could be in the hospital. I could be a grand champion of kickball. Who knows? But just know that I went out for blood. It's a sport on a baseball style diamond. I don't care that it's for a wedding and it's casual. Everyone's supposed to have a good time. You invited me, and as soon as I walk over those lines, once I step over the lines, that's it. I'm out for victory. Okay? So a number of things could happen. One, I could be victorious. Our team could win. And that will be great. Any other outcome, and I will not be satisfied. And I don't think you should be either. Now, I could get hurt too. There's a very good chance that I go out too hard, and because I haven't been a competitive athlete in a long time, I tear an ACL or a quad or my Osgood-Schlatter kicks in or something happens. An Achilles, what have you. If we win, still, no problems. All good in the hood. If we lose and I get hurt, problems. You're going to be hearing about it. I will be bitching about it and complaining and blaming somebody for the loss. Because it wouldn't have been my fault. I got hurt. And then if we just straight up lose and I don't get hurt, I wish I did get hurt at that point, because then it would have been made sense. Oh, we lost because I got hurt. And I couldn't help it. I couldn't do what I do best and carry the team. Now, I know if my brother Bonji listens to this, he'll probably be shit-talking me in response, because he's also an athlete. He's also bigger and stronger than me. But we might not be on the same team. If we're on the same team, we're winning. We're just going to win. If we're on different teams, it'll be closer, and we'll see what happens. But I am excited for kickball in Atlanta. I don't know if I'm going to wear cleats or not. I'm not going to, maybe, I don't want to bring cleats. I don't want to pack that just for kickball. So I'll probably just bring my running sneakers with me. I don't know, because I want to go full on. I want to be able to sprint and catch good gription in the ground. So I'll have to assess the field. I might have to run over to a Dick's Sporting Goods or Modell's and just grab some cheap cleats once I see that the field requires them or something, or if I think I'm going to need them. So I'll keep you posted. You'll find out in a couple weeks. But otherwise, not a whole lot going on in the Junction this week. I was having a conversation with the creature. We were hitting sticks. And this is something that I'll bring to your attention to get a feeler for. Maybe I'll throw a question in Instagram or Facebook to see if you guys have any ideas. Or you can obviously hit the hotline too, 202-670-1114. I said you can hit the hotline too, comma, and then the phone number for the hotline. Okay, I didn't say the number 2 twice, just in case we're being grammatically correct here. I don't want to hear people calling in and say, you said 2202. No, I said the hotline 2, meaning the hotline also. Okay, putting that out there. But you can call the hotline and give me some feedback on some potential ideas. Me and Creature are always talking about future ideas for stuff, whether it's trips we want to take, things we want to do around the area as brothers, as best pals, things we want to do with our own future and our lives, career wise and business and stuff. And we're also talking about content ideas. And we were talking about just how so many people have now created content spaces for themselves, environments, businesses, based off of just doing what they enjoy doing and having fun doing it, and then just recording it, basically. Now, they also happen to be talented and entertaining, and that's a key piece. There's a lot of content out there that's garbage. Some of it is because it just hasn't had the right marketing and been put out and not enough eyeballs on it to realize the quality. Some of it is because people stink. Unfortunately, those two subcategories are in the same category because we don't know if you're getting no success because you're undiscovered or because you stink. Now, right now, the LPDS is absolutely in that category. If you look at the average viewership and listenership, we are in that category. There's a big question mark on whether it's because we just haven't been seen by the right people yet and the marketing's not there, which is definitely true. I have not been marketing this at all. I used to put out clips and I used to post things a little bit more frequently on the Instagram page and on Facebook and stuff like that when I had more time to do that stuff. But that was it. There wasn't any actual marketing campaign being pushed or worked to get eyeballs on, to get guests on, what have you. So that's definitely a factor. But also, it could be because people just don't like what they're listening to and they don't recommend it to other people. It just stinks. And the people in the LPDS universe, the ride or dies that you who are listening right now, are the only ones who like it. And that's all I care about is my ride or dies, the LPDS universe ride or dies. But I just had to put that out there and be as objective as possible that in the content world, we are in that category of unpopular, and we don't know if it's because no good marketing and no good eyeballs or because you stink. Okay? I don't want to, I'm not a denier. I'm not trying to pretend anything here, fake anything or lie about anything. We just don't know. I like it. I love doing this. And because of that, I think it's good. So I'm biased. Anyway, we're always talking about content and the people that have made it doing something that they enjoyed. Specifically, we were talking about Barstool and how the main reason why I like Barstool so much is not because I wouldn't want to go work for somebody. It's because they've created the closest thing that I've seen, at least in the content space, in the internet media space, as far as official businesses go, the closest thing I've seen to the most fun environment I've been in my life with my friends, which was the clubhouse environment, the baseball clubhouse environment. Even in high school, that locker room environment and the clubhouse locker room environment in college baseball too. And even you can even take that further for me specifically in the military during specific, trainings we had to do when we were all in the barracks together for portions of training in the deployed environment where you're in that I call it the clubhouse environment, the locker room environment, whatever you want to use. Family show Terrence and I talked about this years ago, right before the LPDS started. This was sort of like the first spark, if you will, to get me doing the LPDS. So credit to Family Show Terrence on this one. And I believe we talked about this in the past when he was on. We we recorded this just ourselves. I don't want to say an episode of nothing. It wasn't an episode of anything. We turned the camera on and we had some snacks. We had cookies and chips and stuff that his wife made us some cookies, and we just had snacks and maybe some pizza or whatever. And we were drinking booze, mainly beers. And we put the camera on facing us, and we were watching a bunch of like 80s movies, like Steven Seagal movies, Stallone movies, whatever. And we were just reviewing the movies as they were happening, giving movie commentary as we continued to get more and more inebriated to see how it would pan out by the end of the recording session. And we joked about that, calling it like locker room talk. It was 2017 around, maybe 2018 we did that. Right around the time Trumpy Bear was getting in trouble for the stuff that he called quote unquote locker room talk from back in the day that ended up not being a real thing anyway. Like it wasn't a real big deal that people made a big deal. He called it locker room talk, so we were making the joke like, oh, this is just us doing locker room. This is what we would do in the locker room in high school and even in college too. Well, you're sitting there doing nothing, you got the TV on, or you're just shooting the shit, and this is what it was like. And it was always the most fun. And there was always something funny or entertaining that came out of it. So we filmed that, and then like 2 years later, I started the LPDS. But that idea has always been floating around. So Creature and I have been talking about it, and that's one of the reasons why the idea of working at Barstool, a place like Barstool Sports, is so great to me. Seems so amazing because I could live in the locker room again. The two issues with specifically working for Barstool are A, I'd be working for somebody. Don't really like that idea. I mean, I do it now. I've done it in the past, but if I want total freedom, I want to do it on my own. Barstool will be a lot better, at least to get started, because they already got the infrastructure and the thing in place. So the barrier to entry is low in that regard. Not barrier to entry. That's the wrong term I was using. Just the fact that I wouldn't have to put up a lot of money up front to get eyeballs on me. That's nice. And B, the most important factor is it's a clubhouse of essentially strangers. I'd have to spend a lot of time with these people to build up the rapport and the relationship and do some stuff with those people to the point where you get to that that connection where the entertaining clubhouse environment happens organically. And you actually see that because I've taken a lot of Barstool content. And I know a lot of people who listen to this show don't like Barstool, and that's cool. I take it in for a lot of different reasons. Entertainment, learning, topic stealing, whatever. But I take in a lot of Barstool content. And you can tell when a new guy comes in who's independently funny and entertaining, and then Barstool hires that person as an employee, there's, again, two things happen. There's a flurry of content made with that person by a lot of different people within the media, within the organization. They're trying to strap onto this new guy to bump numbies, to promote this person, this new person, but to also boost their numbers now too, because they're like, oh, we got this guy. When Jersey Jerry got hired, everybody wanted to do something with Jersey Jerry because they saw his stuff outside of Barstool and he was hilarious. He was killing it. So people hang on. And that's what they do. But you could the content's garbage. Maybe the people are independently funny, but together, there's no chemistry there. And then eventually, after a year, 2 years maybe, depending on how things go, that's when you start to get into your groove of cohesion and connection and chemistry with the people around you. I have that with people. I had it with you guys at the LPDS universe. I have it with my brothers who were unfortunately mostly geographically separated. And I don't have the finances right now to bring us all together and build our own version of that. But that's what we were talking about. So in case you want to know what's going on in my crazy brain, besides the spearhead stuff, that's always a thought on my mind of like creating something just like that. And I would want to do it more than just a podcast. Like the LPDS can be part of whatever this next thing could be. I don't know what it would be. We were just brainstorming, we were just shooting the shit over sticks. But I would like it to be more than just podcast. Maybe do, street interviews with random people, sports stuff. I don't know what. Something that we could be ourselves, but also grab subject matter, be ourselves in different niches, different venues, different milieus. I hate that word. I don't know why I said it. Milieu. That's a Sticks word. Nikki Sticks would love using that word. What is pink when he goes pinkies up? I can't even tell you the exact definition of milieu. The realm really is what I'm talking about. Different realms. So like we know a lot about baseball. We can have baseball content of some way, shape, or form. We could do some military content in some way, shape, or form. That's funny and entertaining, but also realistic and people could connect to. We could do anything. We could do aviation related, funny, entertaining stuff, because a lot of the people in the LPDS or in the Brotherhood are most of them are aviation, almost all of them, in some way, shape, or form. Air traffic controllers, flight dispatchers, pilots, military pilots, Air Force officer, you name it, it's aviation. I'm the only one now who's completely out of the aviation world because I'm out of the Air Force. I'm going to fly again soon when I have the funds, but different story. So we'd like to build something like that in the future. One of the ideas we had, though, which is something that at least Creature and I can do right off the bat. I don't know how we're going to make it work just yet, but we were talking about new ways to do an old, already established subject matter, specifically baseball. The reason why we were talking about this is because that was one of the things we were discussing in general was the good and bad about the content world nowadays is the bad is that it's saturated. There's billions and billions and billions of hours of content out there in any given, way, shape, or form. Instagram, TikTok videos, podcasts galore. That was another thing about the LPDS. We started when everybody was starting a podcast. So it was like, oh, you're just another white guy starting a podcast. Nobody's going to listen to what you have to say. So we were talking about the good and bads of that. So the bad being that everybody can do it, and it's super saturated. Baseball is also, there's so many different baseball content avenues out there. Besides just watching the games and listening to it on the radio, there are the professionally sponsored sports podcasts and radio shows by the teams in the MLB itself. There's the retired ball players that are out there doing podcasts, and which are pretty good. There are the guys who played baseball in like college or minor leagues who have their own podcast, which is sort of technically what we would be doing if we tried to do something like that. But the market is definitely saturated in that regard. So we were trying to, but excuse me, before I divert again. The good thing about it is that everybody can do it. The barrier to entry, now I'm using it in the right way. Now I'm using that term in the right way. The barrier to entry is nothing. It's plug your phone in, download the app on your computer that uses your phone as a webcam and record. Or you could just record on your phone straight up. Now, I obviously bought some tech for this show specifically and for also for Spearhead, but you don't need any. You just need a phone and to be able to speak coherently. So that's a good thing. Before that, before the internet, even as places like Barstool were getting started, Barstool started as a newspaper, as a sports blog, hand printed paper that Dave Portnoy would go and hand out to people. He had a bunch of those newspaper plastic dispenser things that he would go in different train stations around Boston and fill those up early in the morning every year. And it didn't turn into a website until like, I don't know, 2010, 2009, because one of the guys who was reading the paper was leaving Boston. And he's like, how am I supposed to get this now? And Portnoy's like, I don't know. He goes, well, what if I created a website for you and you put the blogs on the website instead of just the paper now? He's like, I'll pay for the web. I'll create it for you. And he's like, okay, let's do it. And that's how it started on the web. So even before then, there was still a higher barrier to entry. But even before Barstool, if you wanted to get in front of a camera for people to watch and view you, you had to go to school to be a news reporter, you had to be a journalist, and then upgrade to field reporter, and then anchor, hopefully. And if you were a weatherman, you had to be a meteorologist, and you had to study weather, and then you had to figure out how to act and be on camera, and all these tryouts and auditions and what have you. Hollywood, obviously, audition, sleep with the producers, all that sleazy stuff that Hollywood has to do to get you in. Everything had a barrier. Even radio shows, if you wanted to promote something on a radio show, you had to put in and you had to audition and apply to that and interview for that to get out there. You think anybody is just going to be on Howard Stern's radio show or any morning radio show back in the day? No. Now, there are still, obviously, the legacy media still has that. Even in the podcast world, like, not everybody's going to get on Rogan. But anybody can start their own show or just record and put it out there. So if you have something that you think you put out there, if you have something to say about something, or if you want to entertain people, if you want to bring value in some way, shape, or form, whether it's through education or entertainment, you could just do it yourself and put it out there and let it speak for itself. Joe Rogan's never going to put me on his show to talk about anything. Fine. If I have something I think is of value, like the Spearhead show I'm going to be putting out soon, I can just put it out. And that's, again, what we were talking about. Yeah, there is a saturated market for podcast and internet content and all this other stuff. But the barrier to entry is so low, who cares? Because guess what? If it's good and it's entertaining, and you do a little bit of directed marketing and advertising for it, if you want it to be bigger than, if you actually want to make it something as opposed to this is just a hobby that I enjoy doing, and it happens to be entertaining for a handful of you guys too, so that's cool. We always talked about this. If this got big, it would basically be because somebody of importance or of any sort of fame or notoriety saw it and was like, you guys got to watch this. Whether it's as a joke, like you guys got to watch and troll this show, or this show is actually pretty good, you guys got to go see it. And then more eyeballs come on it. That's how it's going to be popular, this particular show. But this other idea we had, we would have probably push at least a little bit, not too much to the point where it's like we become only focused on making it popular, making money, because then the content suffers. But just a little bit, because it's, we want it to be a little bit more successful in that regard. But we could do it all ourselves. That being said, one of the ideas we had was We want to obviously talk about baseball, but we want it to be unique enough that when we put the content out there, people are not going to say, oh, this is just another baseball show that I can flip through. Because there's, again, a lot of baseball shows out there. I don't actually pay attention to any of them. Creature listens to one podcast on baseball because it's pretty good, I hear. I haven't listened to it yet. Otherwise, it's a lot of noise. The baseball content I take in besides Yankee games are some Instagram pages, I think they're on TikTok too, of doing cool baseball things. It's like short clips. It's not podcast, long form kind of discussion on baseball because most of those guys are not, I just can't. They're either not good at it, not entertaining, or their opinions are terrible in my mind, or they've kind of sold out for like they got a good contract, like Talking Yanks, for instance. The guys who do Talking Yanks, the John Boy Media, those are the guys who were just doing it for themselves, and they had good stuff out there, and they got really big and popular because they were the first to put out the videos of the Astros using garbage cans and video monitors to cheat and pick up signs from other teams. They were the first to put the video out there. I don't know how they got a hold of the video, but they were the first to talk about it and show it out there and talk through it. And they got huge for it. And their show was still good, but now they work for the Yes Network. And they can't be as free as they want because they signed with legacy media. And their content is I haven't listened to much of them at all. I see a couple clips where they interview the manager of the team, Aaron Boone. That's it. Otherwise, not really a fan anymore. They had to restrict and not be their authentic selves again anymore. We want to maintain authenticity, and we also want to be different enough and unique enough to get people like, oh, this is actually funny and also entertaining, of value in the baseball world. So the idea we had, as I'm weaving in and out of this story for 45 minutes, was to walk around the streets, probably in Houston, because there's plenty of them out there, and just interview bums on the street. We'll give them some money for their time or a meal, whatever they're looking for, or help them. We're going to quote unquote pay them for their time. So whether it's a meal or money or what have you, paying for their time. But basically, the interview, and this is not one of those like, we're not going to treat them like trash. We're not going to be pieces of shit to them. And we're also not going to be fake nice. We're not going to film us giving them meals and being like, we're going to make you rich and we're going to give you a job interview just for the camera and for the clout. None of that. We just want to get your take on the torpedo bats. What do you think about Anthony Volpe getting jammed with these torpedo bats? And we're just right on the street. Hey, bum. What do you think of Garrett Cole's injury? What do you think of Barry Bonds doing steroids? What's your favorite memory of baseball? Talk to us about anything baseball related, and just find out what they know, find out what they say, and see what happens. Bums on baseball, or baseball bumps. I don't know what you would call it, but just getting out there, talking baseball with some bums, finding out what they're paying attention to, if they are. What was the last thing that they stopped, when they stopped paying attention to the baseball? Maybe we'll get somebody who's, a little out there, and we have an entertaining time. Maybe some of these guys will become regulars that we could go back to, like sort of Kramer characters, but for this particular segment. Coming in, hey, we're meeting with Mikey again. Mikey's back. Mikey's back from the bushes. He just jumps out. He's like, let me tell you something about Nolan Ryan. Nolan Ryan once tried to strike me out. I hit a home run off of Nolan Ryan. And Nolan Ryan hasn't pitched in 40 years. But that's what we want Mikey for. And we're gonna take care of Mikey, and we're gonna become friends with him. That's what we were talking through, brainstorming. So, long story, even longer. if you like an idea like that, if you want us to flush it out more, let us know. Call the hotline. Let me know. If you have any different ideas of how we can bring the clubhouse together and put it out there for the masses to enjoy, please let us know. Because right now, this is something we shit talk with each other while we hit the sticks, pipe dream. We're never actually we haven't had any plans of doing anything with it yet. We're just talking, just passing the time. But if you guys have ideas and feedback and maybe like ideas of a way forward without breaking the bank, obviously, please let us know, because we'll do it. And if you think there's a chance it could be a big success, we'll do it. What we won't do is we won't be pieces of shit to strangers. We're not doing that clout prank bullshit. We'll never be pieces of shit to the bums if we do anything with bums. And we're not going to sacrifice any of our moral or ethical values for in the means of clout and fame and notoriety and a paycheck. Never going to do that. We're not going to pretend to be bad guys and start riffs with people again for the purpose of clout. None of that. So besides any of that stuff, send us your ideas. Let us know what you think. That's all I got today, folks. Just a nice rambling session. Good ramble sesh. Before we go, very quickly, the big three, the three pillars to staying strong and being a better, happier, kinder, healthier, less stressed, more genuine human being, and being able to spread that positivity and goodness to all those around you throughout the land. Number one, exercise every day. Do something every day to improve your fitness and health physically, mentally, or emotionally. Number two, the hardest one to do, don't be a shitty person or a negative person. Be a kind person. Just get out of the shit and negativity. Omit yourself from it. Don't contribute to the shit and negativity in the world. Very hard to do in the moment, though. Got it. Number three, the most important one, be genuinely thankful and grateful for all the good you have in your lives. Think about at least one thing each day that's good in your life and how shitty your life would be without that thing. And that'll put you in the state of gratitude. And if you do all these three things a little bit each and every day, and a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more, I promise you'll be a better, happier, kinder, healthier, less stressed, more genuine human being. You'll be able to spread that positivity and goodness to all those around you and throughout the land. That might have been the quickest big three we've ever had. The only reason why is because after all these years of me saying very quickly the big three, and then I ended up explaining it all, is because I want new people who for the first time listen to actually understand what the big three is. But if you're new and you're listening and you don't know what I'm talking about, go back to basically any previous episode of the LPDS and you'll know exactly what the big three is. Now that's all I got. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Put your notifications on. Tell your friends and enemies. Hit that hotline with questions and comments, 202-670-1114. If you have advice, if you need advice, if you have feedback, if you need feedback, hit the hotline, 202-670-1114. Thank you guys again. I love you all. Stay strong.